Hi guys, I am here with a short story for you guys again today. It's a true story of God's divine miracles in tough times. This one is by Susy, Flory, and it is called Drive-By Blessing. Cuba is a hot and sweaty place, but the people always look unwrinkled, unhurried, undusty, all of the uns that I couldn't seem to master on this mission trip. I don't know how they do it. Many Cubans own one shirt, and that single shirt is without fail, spotless, pressed, and worn with pride. We Americans, on the other hand, were rumpled, cranky, and sticky. At the tail end of a 9-day mission trip to bring food, medicine, and Bibles to needy Cubans, we were making one final stop, one last drive-by blessing. On this particular day, God led us to a small house church in the town of Candelaria. No one expected us. When we knocked on the door of the small dusty house church, we interrupted a meeting of 5 Cuban missionaries, all in their 20s. We found out later that they were in the midst of fasting and praying for help. They greeted the 9 of us strangers with kisses on the cheek and murmurs of Gloria de Dios. We entered, sat at crickety wooden benches, talked. They didn't act surprised. It was as if we were honored guests, fully expected. One by one, the Cuban missionaries shared their stories. One had been a priest of Sateria. The peaceful glow on his face belied the scar on his hand, a relic of his blood initiation into the voodoo-like cult. Another had been a street fighter, his bulging muscles clear evidence. If it weren't for Jesus, I'd be insane, in prison, or dead, he told us. Then there was Sandy. He had short brown hair, a close-rimmed mustache, and gentle chocolate-colored eyes. His white pants and gray polo shirt were clean and looked like they had just been ironed. What I didn't see was that the seat of his pants were ripped wide open. Sandy was a pastor's son, but rebellious. When his father began a house church in their home, he ran out the back door whenever it was time for service and carried on wildly in town. He felt torn, however. One day he broke down and began praying in the park. Not long after, he found the little Candelaria house church, where he surrendered to Jesus. He was discipled by the pastor, and 2 years later, God sent him to a new town to start a church. His goal is to reach all 1,000 people of his town for Jesus. As Sandy spoke, I heard a creaking noise from the back of the church. The heavy church door bumped across the concrete as Doug, one of the men from our team, went outside. Doug loved people, while the rest of us were like Martha's, frantic with meetings, bagging medical supplies, or prepping for puppet shows. Doug could often be found face to face with Cubans, playing catch with neighborhood kids, greeting passerby out the window of the van, or gleefully trying out his mangled Spanish on pastors and church workers. As a result, Doug saw things we didn't see. He saw hurting people who needed a kind word. He saw kids who needed a friend. He saw the rip in Sandy's pants. In a few minutes, Doug headed back into the church with a nice pair of pants, Levi's, Dockers, fished from his suitcase. While another Cuban missionary spoke, Doug walked with Sandy to the back of the church, spoke a few words in his trademark Spanglish, and handed him the pair of pants with a quick hug. I didn't think much of it. We'd handed out all kinds of stuff. Soon as it was time for us to go, the stories of the 5 praying and fasting missionaries touched our hearts, and we dug in our fancy pants to give them some much-needed funds. As we said our goodbyes, Sandy stepped forward. "Wait, I have something to tell you," he said, in a voice with a bit of a tremble in it. "Yesterday I rode the bus for 5 hours to come to Candelaria to pray with my friends. Sandy said, looking around at the other four. When I climbed up the steps on the bus, the back of my pants ripped wide open. They were my only pants. Again, I marveled at how neat and pressed Sandy looked. I prayed, Sandy continued, God, please send me a new pair of pants. Then I got on the bus and came here. He turned to Doug, eyes aflame. I just want you to know that God answers prayer. Sandy's faith hit me like a hurricane. It was like a physical presence in the room, alive, a fire, not to be ignored. It's an upside-down world with the Lord, a friend once said. I began to see the truth of it. The Cubans were rich and we were poor. They lived on faith. We lived on MasterCard. Doug came over weeping and put an arm around Sandy's shoulders. The rest of us were silent, amazed, broken. Sandy continued with a simple statement that cut us to the heart. We heard it, but I still don't know yet if we understand it or believe it. He held up a new pair of pants. God provides all that you need. God provides all that you need. Amen. Yes, He does, and yes, He will. In His own time, because He knows what time is best. You gotta have faith. You just gotta have faith, guys. Okay, so that was that short story. I hope it touched your guys' hearts, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you have a blessed rest of your day. Bye, guys.